Let me take the time out to say good morning to one and all, especially those of you who are listening to Classic Radio, whether it's 105.5 or 105.9. Good morning and welcome to the Point for today. Tuesday is the 13th day of June. Special good morning also to our viewers, those of you via GBN TV, whether you're viewing channel 7, channel 11, or channels 20. Good morning to you also. Our social media viewers and listeners, whether you're viewing our YouTube channel, or channels, I should say, or you via our Facebook page. Good morning to you also. Welcome GBN's webpage, gbn.gd. Good morning and welcome to another edition of To The Point. I'm your host this morning, GT, as usual. GT with you, taking care of To The Point. It's Tuesday, and it's usually Opposition Tuesday here on To The Point. This is the day of on this particular day of the week. We do host various members of the opposition. And this morning we do have a representative from the opposition this morning. We have this morning Dr. Clarice Modeste Curwen with us this morning. She's the, shall I refer to her as the longest serving MP for the parish of St. Mark, if I'm right about that. And she's with us this morning. Let's go over to her and say good morning. Good morning to you, Dr. Modeste. How are you this morning? Good morning, and welcome.
Good morning to you, and thank you for the welcome. Good morning to Grenada, Curwen, Petit Martinique.
How are you doing?
And everybody listening for the field. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, sir.
And how are you? How are you doing?
Pretty good.
All right. Nice to know.
Pretty good. I remember one of the classics, I think it's Dickens' classics, who said it was the worst of time, it was the best of times. I'm living right there between those two.
That's good.
The worst and the best.
Well, it can't be better than that. Once you're in between there, you can't be better than that. It can't be better than that. So we're going to get into the conversation this morning. Lots to talk about. Let's kick it off this morning mainly with what's going on in the parish of St. Mark. You being the MP for the parish of St. Mark, being of course a member of the opposition. What's going on in the parish of St. Mark?
Well, St. Mark is as a parish, a constituency that has an MP in opposition, is experiencing its challenges to get things done, especially in coming after a government that has been taking care of certain socio-economic needs for the needy and so on. And those programs, I cannot say they've all been taken away, but what I can say is that I, as an MP, am at a loss to know how I can tell people to access it. This is a matter that I have raised in Parliament, in the Honourable House several times, that we serve a people and we're in Parliament because of them, and that we need means. I am not looking for being necessarily the medium through which this means are met, but certain in terms of passing it on to me to pass on to them. I know what the politics is, so I'm not going to be naive in that. But people just don't seem to know, and they come to me, and then there is a quote unquote caretaker. That's how the caretaker is being addressed. That's how the one who was my contender for the last election is being addressed. And so people run to the caretaker, and most times, or the caretaker's contacts, because the activists are the ones who are dealing with situations that people have to run to. And it is kind of, let me use a mild word. It is very discouraging for people, because it is send the fool further on, and persons see like frontliners for the other side, for the government side, some and a few getting what they asked for, and a number of them are not getting. I am just pleased to say, though, that those who were already approved for getting the housing material. They are getting it slowly. Up to yesterday, somebody complained to me, but a few days ago, somebody got. So it has slowed down tremendously, but a few are getting. And the good thing is a few of the projects that were started under the New National Party have continued and come to completion. A few roads, the famous Victoria Medical Station, we're refurbishing now the Non-Pareil Resource Center. So there are a few things happening, but I would say that they are sort of like throwovers from the NNP admin into this new phase that we're going through. But we are coping. There are a number of issues that would have been raised by individuals.
Not just to cut in on you here, but I would just like to ask, would you like to highlight some of the issues that you are experiencing within the parish of St. Mark, being the opposition MP?
Okay, so just one simple thing. Mm-hmm. When the medical station, I'm just telling you as it is, and you and the Grenadian public will decide. When the medical station was being opened, I was invited by the Ministry of Health. The permanent secretary called me, and I was pleased for that, because I note when the Mount Kumar Road was opened, the parliamentary representative linked to that area, which is Dr. Keith Mitchell, was not invited. And so I was frankly taken aback when they invited me, but I was happy. And so I went as the MP, and there were about 5 seats at the head table, and the Minister for Health, Minister Lacrette, was there. The senator, who is called the caretaker, was at the head table, the permanent secretary, and there was an empty chair, and I was led to sit with the attendees. And that chair was empty, and I wasn't paid that courtesy. And I wasn't looking at it as me, as Clarice Modeste, but as an MP and for the area, and the MP who had worked to get the medical station to where it was to completion, and been involved integrally, and not even being afforded that, but they did give me the opportunity to say a few words. And so you find there are protocol lapses that are not observed in terms of sequencing, and the MP might be called way down. I've seen that. The MP might be called Dr. Clarice Modeste, and the senator would be called Honorable Senator whatever. And I want to think that it is perhaps a lack of knowledge of protocol. And so I didn't take offense, but I was a bit appalled that that was the level at which we operate. And perhaps GBN or any other medium or Foreign Affairs, for example, could take it on themselves to educate. But getting out of that, the situation, like, for example, persons being taken off the seed list, or the $150 being removed, things like that, persons who'd been waiting long for house repair materials haven't gotten it, and toilet facility, the toilet program, and all of these things. These have really slowed down dramatically. It has gone to a halt. And what also concerns me is that a number of persons who would have applied for the CES program, the soft loan, I think it's a maximum of $30,000. They were just flat turned down. And people tell me, I can only report, because I didn't go for a loan, so I don't know, that they were told, well, boy, well, girl, I told you to follow us, but you didn't follow us, so you have to feel the weight. And that is what it is. So I am concerned that our people, likewise the rest of the Grenadian population, are being treated as second and third and fifth class citizens, as though they're not citizens and they're not taxpayers, and given an opportunity, a fair opportunity, for those who need to have access to certain amenities that belongs to the state. So I have generalized a bit. If there's anything specific that you may want me to look at, but it is a difficult place to be in when you cannot even guide your people or give them a letter to say, this person has come to my office with this need, and could you please take care of it? You can hand it over. You can give it to the senator. Really and truly, it's immaterial to me, as long as the people are satisfied, which is what I'm there for.
All right. Point taken there. Now, you've been you've been a former Minister of Health in the last administration, also a former Minister of Tourism. Now, how concerned are you about the challenges of health in Grenada? If we could switch the conversation here just a wee bit and get into concerns of health in Grenada. How concerned are you?
Well, that switch is very welcome, because the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. And I believe that health should be high up on the priority listing of any country. And we see that in various elections in other countries, the US, UK, wherever. That is a very controversial issue, and people always have greater demands than what they're getting. But when the level reaches so low, it becomes a serious concern. And when it continues indefinitely, that is even worse. So, first of all, we have a new health center in Victoria, has all of the amenities, the rooms for the doctors to examine, the nurses, some comfort areas for the nurses where they can relax and have their meals and so on. That takes into consideration the staffing and so on. And not so long ago, we opened a massive polyclinic in St. John. And take, for example, Princess Alice was equipped with at least an X-ray machine, Karakou, Princess Royal, likewise. And there were plans afoot to have those services provided, as well as look at laboratory services and so on, and keep on improving. Countries like ours with, low income, small population, and where persons in the public service pay very little or do not pay for healthcare services, it is always a challenge how much you can put at any one time. But I know under the New National Party administration, progress was made. And I want to mention, because it is important that we note the timing. And I listened to the Prime Minister on the program last evening. I am trying to remember the program.
It's called Beyond the Headlines.
Beyond. And I noted that he didn't list achievements on that program in terms of what had happened, because I think he realizes that people are catching on, that these projects were not started with the New National Party, that they continue, some of them, and unfortunately, they do not continue with all. And I would like a little minute or two to recall one of the projects that they have discontinued in St. Mark that is so important to the fishermen. But we're on health, so I'll stay there for the moment. And there's a wing that was completed not so long ago, where you have new CT scan, you have new equipment there. That's the X-ray and accident and emergency, and it's a big change from what we had before, and that was all part of the hospital project, where we got great support from Venezuela and Cuba, and regardless of what negative comments may be made, I know that hospital, when it was constructed, was a huge improvement over the previous hospital that, in part, the former NDC administrations would have had responsibility for. And so we have and had made a lot of difference there. And I tell you, that new center is second to none. It perhaps is one of the best in the region. But very importantly, it's good to have those facilities, those amenities, the equipment and so on. But it is also important for the personal things for our Grenadian citizens, the medication, the dressings, other supplies that they need on a regular basis. I want to clarify here, and it may come up from time to time. Well, this is not the first time it happens it has happened before in Grenada, and it happens in other countries. No, the worst I've ever seen it was in 2013, after the 2013 period, when we came in and we had a huge debt to pay the OECS PPS, that is the procurement unit for the OECS, the regional governments. And so there was a huge debt. And of course, when the debt becomes so large, the disbursement from the OECS PPS would either slow down or halt based on how the payments are being made. I also want to clarify that the OECS PPS is a creature of the OECS countries, and therefore it responds to the needs of the member states, and it works along with the member states. So when payments are not made, it's not like $100,000. Usually it's significant sums over long periods of time, and they have not been engaged. This is an institution that would engage the minister or the permanent secretary or who to let them know, look, the payments are long overdue, and it affects not only our country, but the other member states, because the monies are pooled and the purchasing, of course, is pooled. So we have such a great facility that would help us in the region. And up till now, I have not heard the government say that they have made use of it, really. I listened very carefully to an interview that the Prime Minister had, and he said, well, there are suppliers who have not been paid. It was generalized. And that is what made me wonder, where in the totem pole, where in the priority listing is health? And I heard the present Minister of Finance say, well, we've been honoring our commitments, we've been paying our debts, etc., but I didn't hear health. And then I heard one person say that the medication is here. So if you have not paid or you have not demonstrated to us as the citizens of Grenada that you have not paid, then where did those supplies come from? And I am still hearing that the long list that I have, and I have it in front of me, is an appallingly long list. So there will be shortage of some drugs or some supplies at any one time. There will be shortage maybe for a bitter duration based on what the country is going through. But this extended shortage with this extensive list, I think it has gone beyond what is deserving for the Grenadian people. And so I want to say that because I'm hearing all kinds of explanation. There's absolutely no explanation if you do not engage the OECS PPS and say, look, we've met a situation, the government owed for 2021, we're ready to give and to pay, and we'll make a payment because we met a full treasury. People say pregnant treasury, all kinds of things. But this is true, and it did not come from us. It did not come from us. It came from our dear Prime Minister himself, Minister for Finance at the time, who said that they met monies there. So if you're talking about 2 million and you meet hundreds of millions, then where is your priority for health in all this? And so it is not 6 drugs, it is more than that. And the supplies that are being touted as being here, as I've said in another program, it would have been good to see a photo up with those drugs. Reassure us. People are worried. Only yesterday, I went to get a medication for somebody that needs it, and it's atorvastatin, and they didn't have in the government dispensary. No, I didn't want to put the pharmacist on the spot, so I did not ask any question as to how much more. But other people who are willingly telling us that they have gone and they have not received, I think it is time that the government takes stock and do something. And I am adamant that this should be done, and I'll tell you why too. Because I was hearing things a long time ago, but I said to myself, don't say anything. They need a time to adjust. It happens to others and so on. But when you reach 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, and especially now that I am hearing, it is alleged that the Prime Minister's travel budget has passed $3 million in less than a year, then I still beg the question, what is the priority for health in all of this? So supplies is my first concern. My next concern is the human resource. There is always a brain drain. There's always a hemorrhaging of people going for greener pastures. And frankly, I don't know that there's a whole lot that can be done legally or otherwise to prevent persons from going. But one, I think that the bond that people sign when they get free training by the state, it should be honored. So come and do your 3 years, come and do your 5 years, and then you can go and others who are trained would take over. That is one. But also secondly, we need to hear something. And that was my plea in our last parliament sitting. We're hearing all kinds of things about the environment and otherwise that are happening, but nobody says anything on health. And the Prime Minister is the one who normally would take up the responsibility. Once you do not have, the sitting Minister for Health is not in that house, in that particular area, usually it's the Prime Minister. Now, if the Prime Minister, for some reason, wants to designate someone, that is his prerogative. He can do that as well. But the nation needs to know what is happening with supplies, what measures are being taken to look at the brain drain, because it's getting worse. So it was present in our time and it continues. I know at Cabinet this was raised on several occasions, and it was being looked at what kind of incentives can we give to healthcare workers so that they can stay. Now, bearing in mind that government has a wide range of public servants providing services in various areas. And once you start singling out an area, it becomes controversial. But I think at some point in time, we as a nation have to prioritize what is most important to us. And if it means giving a monthly stipend, whatever, a monthly addition to the salary without necessarily changing the salary scale, because if you change the salary scale of one group, you may have to change it for the other. But an incentive to stay at home at this time, because I think this is the area that is hemorrhaging the most at this time. So I think the government did a one-off. A one-off of $500 won't do it. After COVID, our government did a one-off as well. But that wouldn't stop the hemorrhage. We have to look further and come together as a nation to look to solve the problem.
Dr. Modeste, I'll put the cap on your ear for a minute. We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, of course, we continue with the conversation. It's To The Point for today, Tuesday the 13th. We're coming right back. Stay with us, folks.
On Saturday, July 29, Montrouge Plainfield will be transformed into a sea of grills as food, fun, and friends collide. It's the 10th annual Maggie King of the Grill competition. The best chef and barbecue kings and queens compete for cash, a new grill, and the title of Maggie King of the Grill. Come savor the flavors. Try to bust the ice cold bar and let the kids have their way in the bouncing castles, pony rides, slides, and games. Try your hand at dominoes or the beer and leg competition and win instant cash. Come 7 p.m. you go stateside to enjoy performances from top local acts. It's a whole evening of fun at the Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, July 29 at the Montrouge Plainfield. Gates open from 12 noon. $10 get you on the inside. Powered by Maggie, Hot 98, and GBN Television.
Is giving you more chances to multiply your Playway winnings by adding Multi-X to your regular Playway bets to win up to 5 times more. Imagine winning as much as $1,200 instead of $240 with a $10 Playway bet by simply adding Multi-X. Place your Playway bets from $1 to $10 or in increments on your favorite Playway symbols or numbers. Then add the Multi-X option at the same value to win 2 times, 3 times, 5 times more, or free plays. With Multi-X, you must bet the same amount wagered on your regular Playway bets for your winnings to be multiplied. Grenadians, value your dreams and win your way as much as 5 times more with Multi-X added to Playway and watch your money grow. Must be 18 years or older to play. NLA, making your dreams come true.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. Welcome back, Dr. Modeste. And it's to the point here for Tuesday, the 13th day of June 2023. Dr. Modeste, once again, welcome back to. You spoke a lot in the last when we were talking, and you did say a lot. And you also spoke about in terms of a question that I would have liked to ask you, but you sort of led into it there just a wee bit. And my question this time goes up like this. We heard a lot of issues relating to health in Grenada. We have heard about you complain in Parliament lately. You asked a question about the lack of medication at the hospital. So that was some of the concerns that you have raised. You did mention briefly about that a while ago. Now, what's your concern in terms of government approach to health here in Grenada?
All right. My concern is that I do not see it as a priority on the list. I know it's obvious that they consult a lot of persons of different levels, of persons of different technical skills and knowledge and so on. And but I am concerned about how they consult and who they consult, because somebody would have told them that you must go to the OECS PPS and negotiate with them, and they will listen to you. So I am concerned about this. I am not hearing much. And again, going back to the program Beyond, well, I call it Beyond for short, the headlines. I didn't hear the Prime Minister speak much about health. Because in all the plans and the mix for 2024, and just now we'll be talking budget, then what are the plans? What concretely can you do? But I think I heard a little mention in terms of a new hospital. I'm not sure if it was last night. I'd heard it before. But and I would welcome that. We do know that the present hospital is not perfect. And as I said before, it is a significant improvement over what was there previously. And location is an issue, but not a major issue. The other things I mentioned are far more important than that. So if we're going to build a new hospital in another location...
What's your take on the proposed new location for the hospital?
Well, I was trying to get, I heard it somewhere in the south in Calavini. Is that correct?
Something of the sort. Something of that sort, yes. In terms
That's
of the
something I heard vaguely, but I guess they're looking at it still because, and I have no problem with them going at it slowly, because a lot of thought has to go into that. Because first of all, the first thing is taking care of the present day situation. If you cannot take care of the drugs now, of the present day supplies that you need, whatever they are, then you can't take care of a new hospital. It's probably going to be larger. It's probably going to offer other services, bring in specialists. I don't know. But certainly, the first thing is make sure you have dressings, make sure you have the antibiotics, the antifungals. I look in here. Things for epilepsy, anti-epileptic sedatives, all things. Make sure you have those things.
Dr. Modeste, let me also ask you this. You being a medical doctor, I'm assuming you're aware of some of the medication that seems to be at a shortfall, if we use a simple way of saying. What are some of those medication that you are hearing is sort of a shortfall? And also give me a bit of your take on the statement from the minister in terms of medication coming into the island.
Okay. Let me take this statement from the minister first. Now, this is a government, and you have to give them that. They are good on PR. The only PR I haven't seen about them is going into the bathroom yet, and I don't know if they sent it out, but they do a photo for everything, every handing over, every place they go. And since it has become topical and it has become a major area of concern, then if you say you have it, or you say you've paid, I couldn't clarify what was said. I heard it, but I wasn't clear. But if a movement has been made, then use the photo moment. Take a photo and send it to us and say, this is it, in your face. And I'm sure people would be silent. If we know that they have paid, people would try to buy until they get. But remember, we're dealing with a country that has, like most other countries, high level of chronic disease, diabetes, hypertension. Some people have to take their medication once a day, twice a day, and every day. So you need it. That is one. So I really think they owe it to us, and they're acting as though they have no responsibility to give us the facts as they are for something as important as health. So that is my main concern with them and what the minister said, because what he says is a comfort to a fool. All right, looking at the range, and it's a wide range of medications, and I've classified them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 antibiotics. We know what that is whenever there's an infection, different types of infection in different locations in the body, you need antibiotics. With 5 missing, we in some kind of trouble. Painkillers, analgesics. Some of these painkillers are even used when you put in patients under anesthesia, because when you cut in, obviously there's pain, and so they're given these medications so that they even when in waking up or whatever, they don't feel pain. And even some people have complained that while they were sedated, they felt pain, so they need some kind of medication to go with that. Other kinds of sedatives. For epilepsy, I think people just call it fits. We know what that is, and people need regular drugs on it. And somebody called me and he said that he has a daughter who takes these 2 medications on a regular basis. And both are missing, both are lacking, were lacking then. I would love to hear that we have them. For pressure, antihypertensive, I have 2 here. I don't know if since that list was given to me, because it's close to a month since I got that list. And I saw photos of big spaces on the shelves where these things are stored to be disbursed throughout the country. And I am told that those spaces are still there. So I again, let me just add to that other part of the question you asked. I believe the minister himself, and that is his responsibility. When you're the minister, you take the responsibility to assure the nation. And when it gets out of hand, then of course the prime minister has to come in. All right, chemotherapy, drugs, cancer. Who wants to wait on chemotherapy drug if you're diagnosed with cancer? Things for thyroid, fungus, something called oxytocin that helps people do contraction. So I'm coming down the list, and it's a long list. It's a long list, but for almost anything you could think about, and then for wound cleaning, for vomit.
Well, I don't expect you to give me the entire list this morning, because I would assume, as you said, it's pretty lengthy. I will stop here. Let me ask you this question, and it's folks, listeners and viewers may want to chime in also in terms of asking questions shortly. We take a couple of. No, the past administration, the NNP, was in power. What could your administration have done more for health that you probably thought they didn't do?
Okay, so I kind of mentioned what was done before, of which I'm very proud. Yes. I think 1 or 2 other medical stations were refurbished and so on. I am proud of that. I asked the former Minister for Health, Mr. Nicholas Steele, what was the status of our payment? Because being a different minister, one doesn't always know. And he said that we were always in the past years, recent years, that we were always up to mark to pay as necessary. The truth is, neither you nor I can say that we have heard any serious complaints about medical supplies in the past few years. So I tend to take what he says, that we were paying, and somebody told me they did other checks and we were paying. I'm not saying that we paid the day after we got supplies, but I'm saying that we paid within a reasonable time so that serious consideration could be given. So that is one. What could we have done? I think maybe we could have delved into the brain drain and the medical people going away to see what we could have done. I think some more could have been done there. A lot of work was done on the national health insurance. I think maybe we could have stepped on it with more alacrity than we did. I really believe we could have done it, because it becomes very difficult to manage a healthcare system without adequate revenues. And always government has to be cognizant of the fact that there must be access for every level, especially the middle income and lower income persons who may not be able to afford. Recently, I was told that there was a shortage of one antibiotic. And when the person was told where it was available, they were told to come down with $1,000. And so, I mean, I don't have to explain that. We know that not everybody in Grenada can just pull out $1,000 and go and buy medication. So I think in terms of some form of cost recovery, whether it be national health insurance or you call it by any other name, I believe that maybe we could have stepped up a little more, even though a good deal of work was done. I would have liked to see us at this time there with it, with NDC coming and meet us with a national health insurance. That again, they could have just continued with ease, as they have continued some of our programs with ease. These are the two main things that come to my mind: the staffing and cost recovery, to ensure that we can keep abreast and even ahead of our payments for supplies.
Dr. Modeste, also, we hear lately the present administration spoke a lot about, health tourism. What's your take on that?
I heard a discussion on it on, was it GBN? If not GBN, GIS, a local station, some time ago, where parties discussed the health tourism, and they sounded very good. My understanding is, and from what I heard from the program, was that it was initiated by Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and some of the members were here, and also one or two private sector persons. Government then didn't play a major role in it, but they've been talking about it. And I think it could be done. I know some poor countries that have taken that on and have done it with excellence, and have managed to do two things: bring revenue into the country, but also to bring in some top quality services and interventions that they may not have been able to do it if they didn't twin health and tourism together. So I think that is another big area that can be delved into. I just want to say that it should be dealt with cautiously, and that stringent studies and reviews and consultation, in capital letters, underscored, anyhow you take it, because this government is extremely poor on consultation. And, case in point, and I'm not digressing, because attitude is important. The decision to send everybody into secondary school, and parents don't eat my head. I'm not saying that it should not be taken. I'm just saying that there are certain ways to do things so that they are better implemented with less headaches for everyone concerned. And going into health, the allied health workers, the date that was set for them to have everything in place based on the legislation for them, which I welcome. I think every profession should have oversight, should have some kind of management, should have some entity that they're answerable to, so that they in turn feel answerable to the citizens of Grenada. So I have absolutely no problem with it, but I just think the manner in which it was done, the absolute authoritarian way of doing it, as though, well, it's just about me, the Prime Minister, or us in the government, and whatever we say goes. I think this is very wrong, because we might be amazed at how much people can contribute if they're given the opportunity to so do. So yes, I think it's a good idea. I do not see it in the very, very immediate future, but I see it could be a serious contender in the medium term. The faster we go, the more it will enhance health, the more it will enhance tourism. But let us hasten slowly, so that whatever we implement would be indeed and in fact to the benefit of our people. A number of things. Transport. You go down in the south, somebody coming from Sotes, they on a bus, they could just take the shuttle and go up to the hospital. And so one shuttle works because it's a short distance. Now, if you go down further south, the further you, well, I don't think further matters. If you take a bus in St. George's to go south, it probably will take you where you want to go. But transportation will be an issue. Equipping and servicing that new center financially, and getting the kind of partnerships that would assist in getting us there. It's highly possible that there are good partners out there who want to do something like that, because that could generate income for private sector as well as government sector. I don't think government alone can do it, but government can play a lead role in getting it done. So I welcome the idea, but I just want to caution to hasten slowly and consult.
All right. Dr. Modeste, we drew for a break. We take that break. When we come back, we invite listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two you would like to ask, feel free to do so. 435-2041 when we do come back after the break. Stay with us, folks. We're coming right back.
Rock the box, we say, yeah. GBN, we say, arts and culture living, yeah. Rock the box, we say. I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box, we say. I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box, we say. We'll be jamming here on a Thursday. It's a
On Saturday, July 29, Montrouge Plainfield will be transformed into a sea of grills as food, fun, and friends collide. It's the 10th annual Maggie King of the Grill competition. The best chef and barbecue kings and queens compete for cash, a new grill, and the title of Maggie King of the Grill. Come savor the flavors. Try to bust the ice cold bar and let the kids have their way in the bouncing castles, pony rides, slides, and games. Try your hand at dominoes or the beer and leg competition and win instant cash. Come 7 p.m. you go stateside to enjoy performances from top local acts. It's a whole evening of fun at the Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, July 29 at the Montrouge Plainfield. Gates open from 12 noon. $10 get you on the inside. Powered by Maggie, Hot 98, and GBN Television.
Welcome back to our listeners and viewers. It's to the point for today, Tuesday the 13th. With me this morning representing the opposition, we have Dr. Clarice Modeste with me this morning. Let's go to the phone line and take a caller. Guess we lost that caller there, 435-2041. Listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two that you may like to ask Dr. Modeste, feel free to do so. Let's go to the phone line. Caller, good morning, welcome. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I am here to understand this talk about pregnant Treasury. If it is that the Treasury was so pregnant, I guess it was hoping to give birth at some point in time. But why is it that the pharmaceuticals were unpaid, pension was unpaid, and so many other things were undone? Sister Clarice Modeste, you're an individual I have a lot of respect for. But I don't think you were prepared for this program this morning. And some of the things that you're saying there is very much untrue. And you need to go back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Any response to the caller, Dr. Modeste?
Yeah, the caller has a right. I just want to say that there are some things that were not paid, and the persons who were supposed to be the beneficiaries might have opinions as to when it should have been paid. But even though, with all that has been paid, as said by the speaker, the caller, there are some people who have not received their salary for 3 months, 4 months. And then monies were taken away from poor and destitute and desperate persons. So are we robbing the poor to subsidize the rich? I don't know. So I respect what you say. And I hope the caller can correct me on what I have said, because all of the information I have come from reliable sources. So
we do have another
if I'm
caller.
wrong, then I'm wrong because reliable sources have given me. And I wish the caller could have given an example, but maybe another caller will give an example of exactly where I'm going wrong.
Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
And good morning to Miss Clarice.
Good morning.
Miss Clarice, it seems to be you cherishing this list of medication very, very carefully, because this is the second time you come on that program and you have this list with this medication. Miss Clarice, I find last night this beyond the headline existing for how much years, and you can't even remember the name of the program, but you could point out how much money that the government, that the Prime Minister spent for the year for traveling. You have certain things that you could hold in your head for long, and you have certain things that doesn't hold it. Miss Clarice, before I run out, week before I went to the doctor, they gave me a prescription to get some medication for Suppose the health center. He had in St. George's, he had one, and I have to go in 3 other pharmacies. They didn't have it. A pharmacist was so happy, called out in Granville in another pharmacy to see if he have the medication for me, and he didn't have. So it's not only the government, to me, have a shortage of medicine in this country, not only the government dispensary that medication short. To me, it's all over. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. 435-2041.
Thank you, caller. I again respectfully given, and I will respectfully just respond to say that I keep the list because I do not have any proof, any convincing proof, and that this list has changed. And so this is the first time I'm coming on this program with that. But I've said it before, and it will continue. I will continue to consult that list until I am convinced otherwise. And it's you I'm concerned about. It's other people that I'm concerned about that do not have access to medication, because yes, there will be shortage from time to time, but that's why I like this long list. This long list, you will not have a shortage on this long list. I also went to get an eye drop for somebody. I got one and we bought the other one. These things happen, but the list is still too long.
All right.
And so, my dear sister, I am concerned about you. I am concerned about my nation, because some can afford and some cannot. And that is my point.
Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford, and good morning to Miss Modeste. I was waiting patiently to hear from Miss Modeste the money for the shrimp farm and the chicken farm, but she chose not to mention that and choose to talk about everything else, you know. And she liked to criticize this administration, and it seems as though it's only she and Keith could have ruled this country, but we're not ruling now. We are governing now. You know, so on her next program, when she come on, tell us about this 2 set of money. And she's not talking about she and a Jamaican woman own almost all of Victoria. What has she done for Victorians? Nothing. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution. 435-2041, 435. Any respond to the caller, Ms.
Yes, let me respond. The Prime Minister himself on the program, and caller who said that I remember things conveniently. The Prime Minister on the program last night, beyond the headlines, he said 2 things which I remember. He said that now we have an escrow account that he met there from the NNP administration. That escrow account was implemented by the new National Party administration to prevent the same problems that the lady mentioned about the shrimp farm. Now, the thing is, when you are starting something, even after a period of time, there will be glitches. And that was a lamentable one. It was not foreseen, but it was a very, very, very deplorable thing to happen to us. And at that time, we didn't have an escrow account. And I want to give Jackie's jacket to Dr. Keith Claudius Mitchell when he insisted that we now have to have an escrow account. The Prime Minister explained it very well last night, so I wouldn't go into that. He did the job for us. You have an escrow account which would protect the monies that go in. We didn't have it then. It went into the developers' coffers, and I guess he saw big money and he went with it. And other countries in implementing and beginning would have problems. But the good thing about our administration is we fixed it. We lost some clients. We lost some because everybody got, kind of to like the looseness. And we tightened it up. And the present Prime Minister did speak to it. So, and he also said that the CBI, which that project was a part of, Grenada is very low in terms of infractions and serious problems on the CBI. He didn't say it in these exact words, but he said that. You can play it over and beyond the headlines, and you will see that. The other thing is, no, we weren't perfect. And if you listen from beginning, you would hear me say that there were shortages. And the interviewer asked me what I think we should do more. I mentioned too, there are other things that we could have done. And finally, when you fix every school in your community, every school, you have resource centers, you put playing field, you put light in playing field, you train people's skills, you fix almost every road. Just the other day we fixed one. The roads that are waiting now are the main ones, the Monsini to Brothers Road, the Red Mud Road. These was the contracts were signed under the new National Party. Red Mud had started, it has stopped, and it has been there just waiting for months now. But it started under the new National Party, and Red Mud is a part of Red Mud belongs to St. Mark. So check every school, my dear. Check your roads, check training, check Imanis, the amount of Imanis who got permanent job, the Empower, that we empowered with equipment, several of them from St. Mark. The very first, the loan place for youths in the whole of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique started right here in St. Mark. So I could just sit down and tell you a number of things. And, before you say that, why not come? I will do a tour with you. I know you've heard that because that was the buzzword. Modeste don't do nothing. NNP don't do nothing. But go into every village in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and you'll see the work we would have done. Maybe right in front of your doorstep is there, but you're blind to it. But we have done a fantastic job. I have done a lot in St. Mark there. Would I like to do more? Yes. And could I have done more? Perhaps. But I have done a great work in St. Mark. You just need to come and see.
Dr. Modeste, we do have another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome. Sorry for having you on.
Yeah, good morning to you and good morning to Ms. Modeste. Yeah, I wanted to talk on the next side of the former Prime Minister, Dr. Kit Mitchell, that he's promised the oil and gas to the people on Port Airport. He's promised the Ahoma project, which is 10 million, and the St. David's project, which is in Awasa. And it went to the states wherever, and it run down the nurses and the doctors and say that they are thieves in the hospital. This is not the way a Prime Minister have to get on if they need the people to be with them and to love them. Have a good morning.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. 435-2041.
Thank you, caller.
Still have a few minutes
the
before
Prime
we
Minister
wrap.
promised a lot of things, and he delivered on a lot. Some you can't deliver on everything, and I'm so pleased that the airport work is in full progress. Our Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique mentioned it last night, so I won't go into it. I guess these callers would have listened to the program, but it's going full speed ahead.
Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Ms. Modeste, I want...
Caller, before you continue, would you mind lowering your radio or television, whatever device you have in the background, please?
Yes, sorry for that. Ms. Modeste, I am seriously disappointed in you. As a long-standing MP for St. Mark's, I'm seriously disappointed in you. And also a former Minister of Health. My question to you is, you are an MP. You are a Member of Parliament. Mr. Lacrette, who is the Minister of Health, what it is preventing you as a Member of Parliament on behalf of your constituents and even on behalf of Grenada by writing a letter or asking that Minister of Health a question in relation to the concerns that you have with the medical supplies and all of that. I conclude from listening to you, not just now, I listened to you on the Kell and Bob program as well. Your thing is pure politics. It is unfortunate for someone like you, of your knowledge and experience and longevity in the politics, and as a minister, you should be doing those things on the radio. And you're actually telling lies. And let me draw one of them to you. The $500 that is extended to the nurses is not a one-off. It is a monthly stipend that is paid to those nurses. A one-off is when you get a lump sum of money and that's it. They are being paid $500 every month.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Any response to the caller, Dr. Modeste?
Yes, the caller mentioned what prevents me from raising the question. I had a one-on-one conversation with one of the government ministers, and I told him that I was concerned that the situation was grave, but I wouldn't want to put anybody on the spot. But also, the first place that I raised this was it was not the first. I raised concern on one program, but I raised it in the Honorable House of Representatives, raising my concern about the medication. So you say write a letter. I will write a letter. I'll take the advice from you. There's nothing wrong with it, but it was raised in the House of Parliament, the lower house, and because I saw no response in the first instance, and then no credible response, I felt I had to raise it in your interest and in my interest. If that hasn't been pleasing to you, and I have always offered that I am willing to help wherever possible. So I'll just leave it at that. And caller, I'll take your advice and I'll write the Honorable Minister to ask him about it.
Dr. Modeste, we may be able to entertain just one more caller and then we come and summarize today's program. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. I just want to say to the minister, I heard her say that these problems did not happen under the NMP in terms of payment to the PPS. And I was a public officer, and I can tell her it happened on many occasions. So please stop lying to the Grenadian public. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your
just to let the caller know that she misheard. That's one of the things I clarified in this very platform now, that I said it has happened. But it has never been so bad as in 2013. And if you as a public service, may have accent, review it. You will see that we could not even pay salaries at that time when we came in. We had to borrow. And we also had to borrow money to pay the OASP, CSPPS. So it's just that it was at its lowest, but it's not that it never happened in our time. And it will happen to all members. But there's a time when you have to draw the line and say, let us make health or the payment of that supply a priority. And I have not seen that happening with the government.
Dr. Brunas, any closing statement before we take a wrap? We are due for a wrap.
No, I just want to thank you for the program. I want to thank the callers. I think they're zealous in the defense of the party and the government, and there's nothing wrong with that. I welcome the comments. I think they are misunderstood, but never mind. I continue to make my appeals in the interest of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And somebody mentioned I own everything in St. Mark. Perhaps they can prove it too. Bring it and show me. I think what I earn is enough for how hard I've worked and the length of time I have worked. And if you take the time again to look into that, you will see that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Modeste, once again for being on today's program. And I certainly hope we could do this sometime in the future. Once again, have yourself a great day.
I look forward. God bless.
All right. Thank you so much. Hey, folks, that's how we come to the end of today's program. To the point, join us again for another edition, hopefully tomorrow, once the Almighty permits, health, strength, and everything else in between. Thanks all those who contributed to today's program. I want to thank you once again. As I would always say, be good to yourself and others. Have yourself a good day, folks. That's what we wrap To the Point for today.